Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Award Travel 101 Live. If we can call it an episode, I'm not really sure. Hey, my name is Richard Kerr. I'm the founder of Award Travel 101. It's been far too long since we've gotten together. I've been around the country, and I'm soon about to leave to go around the country even more, and we need to get a session in tonight. A live award booking demonstrations. This is one of the most popular segments that I do. People give me comments, messages, and emails all the time about how nice it is to see the rubber meet the road and get these practical demonstrations done. All right, I'm going to do a little bit of technical jargon here as I move around tonight. Flying solo, all of our moderators are traveling around the world, or they have two kids, or they got other things going on tonight. So bear with me as I work it solo. Hey, what I need you to do right now in the comments, number one, tell me where you're tuning in from. Number two, tell me what award routings you want me to look at tonight. I'm going to pick a few out of the comments and show it to you right here via screen share. A couple things to go over before we do that. Number one, bourbon of the night. This is a local brew, if you'll call it, for a little bit of bourbon. Heritage Distillery from Bremerton, Washington, brought to me by my man Nick last week in Vegas. This was my very first duty station in the Navy. If you're new to the group, I just left the Navy to do this full time. Yeah. 6 months ago, people said, "What do you do?" I said, "I'm a lieutenant in the Navy." And they go, "Oh, wow, that's awesome. Can I buy you a drink?" Today, they asked me what I do. I say, I run a Facebook group full time. And the juxtaposition of the reactions are hilarious. And I get a big kick out of it. So Heritage Distillery, this is a brown sugar bourbon that they have there from my first duty station. Give me those routing examples in the comments that you want me to look at. If you have no plans this weekend, you need to be in Manhattan. Why? Because I am presenting at Frequent Traveler University June 9th and June 10th in Manhattan, right in the middle, not too far away from everything. You can get tickets. All you got to do is go to the events tab in the Award Travel 101 group and click on events. You're going to see Frequent Traveler University. You're going to see a link there. If you use the code last minute, it's $20 off your ticket. I hope to see, meet, re-meet, and hang out, have drinks with many of you this weekend in Vegas. All right, I'm going to jump right into it tonight. Hey, I was just putting my two kids to bed all the way until I ran down to get my bourbon, all the way till I came up. Right here, I see some good award routing examples already. Pittsburgh to Iceland. Hey, that's a good one. Let's see what happens with that. I like that. Who is that? That's Cheryl. We're going to start with that. All right, I'm going to go right into screen share as soon as I get rid of this logo so that everybody can not be distracted by it. We're going to take that off. Keep the comments going. If at any time you have questions, throw it up. I got South Florida to Japan, Dallas, Fort Worth, not even asking Detroit to Peru. All right, we got some good ones. Hey, here's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to move this over here. I have two monitors. I have notes over here. You're going to see me look. I'm not just looking for no reason. I have my notes on that side. But the first thing I want to do is Virgin Atlantic. So everybody's asking me about that. Here you go. You should be able to see it right here. Virgin Atlantic. Oh, surprise. You can see my mileage balance in the top right corner. That's okay. I don't have too many miles. I keep them all in the transferable points section. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to book a flight. Everybody give me a quick yes. You can see this in the comments here to make sure all the tech is good since I'm flying solo. Shouldn't have any problems. But I think Virgin Atlantic miles are the most overlooked loyalty program. Why? Because you can book Delta flights online with this. This website, though, is very, very finicky, and I want to run you through a couple searches just so that you can see it. So all I did is you got to be logged in, top right corner into Flying Club. Log in. Remember, how do you get Virgin Atlantic miles? They transfer from everybody, Amex, Citi, Chase, and SPG. I'm going to do a quick search. And here's how it goes. All I did was click book up at the top. I'm going to start with, let's say, Atlanta and to Tulsa, Oklahoma. Yeah, Delta flies nonstop. But what's going to happen when I type in TUL? It's going to try and take me to Melbourne. I don't want to do that. So what do you have to do? You got to click this little purple box over here, the little purple arrow in the box. It's going to bring up this arriving airport. What you want to do is make sure the U.S. and Canada is selected. And I'm going to scroll down here. Let's see if Oklahoma is one of the 50 states according to Virgin Atlantic. And what do you know? Yes, they are. Tulsa, Oklahoma is one of the options. All right, so that is how you force your destination airport code into this box. Is every destination in there that should be? No, it's not. Even when you go to force this, if it doesn't show up, guess what? You got to call Virgin Atlantic. You know what? I'm going to make it easy and do one way. I'm going to look a few months into the future. I'm going to click random September 12th. Sure, why not? We're going to go from Atlanta to Tulsa. Here you go. I've already said it before, but here's where the rubber meets the road again. Pay with miles radio button. Now, I got lucky because sometimes that is grayed out after you enter the cities and it won't let you select it. What do? You log out, you clear cookies, you start all the way over, and you put in a city pair up at the top until you can get this radio button to show up. What's great, 5 weeks of availability in one shot. 1 adult, 0 young adult, 0 children, 0 lap infants. Sometimes this will not populate and you need to go in and click 0. Again, you got to make sure every box is checked on this very peculiar website. And let's see what it shows up for Atlanta to Tulsa, Oklahoma. 5-week availability. Look at that. Almost every single cotton picking day has got a Delta flight for 12,500 miles. Now, what is Delta going to charge for this flight? Who knows? Maybe it's more expensive. Maybe it's cheaper. The vast majority of the time, it's going to be way more sky miles than Virgin Atlantic wants because it's a flat 12,500 miles for any domestic Delta segment. So what a great deal. Actually, you know what? Let's find out. Let's go ahead. Let's head over to delta.com so we can compare what Delta wants for these flights. I'm going to pull it off my screen real quick so I can log in, so that none of you cheeky award travel 101ers try and steal my information. I know you would never do that. I'm going to log into Delta real quick. My guess is going to be quite a few sky miles given the vast monopoly that Delta would have on this route from Atlanta to Tulsa. All right, we're going to pull it back over. Again, if anybody has any technical problems or you're not seeing what I think you're seeing, please go ahead and scream into the comments here so I can take a look at it. So one way, Atlanta, Tulsa. If you think I'm going too fast for these websites, you need to be going just as fast because you got to spend time. You got to spend those evenings after the kids go to bed, the evenings after classes, the evenings or mornings before after work, and get used to these websites so that you can go super duper fast. This is just to compare what Delta is charging for a flight. It helps if I click miles from Atlanta to Tulsa. 17,500 miles. Cool. Let's go into flexible date search. And let's see if they want 17,500 miles. Yep, pretty much every day. So this is on September 1st, 17,500 miles. We're going over here September 1st. It's not showing, but I guarantee it's 12,500 miles on Virgin Atlantic. And that very quickly is how you save miles just like that by using the Virgin Atlantic website for Delta flights. What is super awesome? 50,000 Virgin Atlantic miles for Delta 1 to Europe. 62,500 Virgin Atlantic miles for Delta from the U.S. to Asia, Japan, Shanghai, Hong Kong, China. Pretty cool stuff, but that's a quick run through of how you use the Virgin Atlantic site to find Delta flights. All right, so I saw Pittsburgh to Iceland. That's the next one that I'm going to choose, and I'm going to have a little bit of brown sugar bourbon. Ooh, a little sweet, but a little tasty. All right, so what do? This is the standard method I'm going to go. I head to the Wikipedia page for the airport of my destination. Got to get my little thing out of the way here. All right. Wikipedia, I got to do Reykjavik KEF airport code. And I want to go to Reykjavik airport and I want to see all the routes that these airlines fly here. So this is the way you go. If you want to go do an award search, you work your way backwards. It's got to be the backwards method. So start at your destination, work your way back to your origin. Start by going to the Wikipedia page of the airport you want to fly to because every single section has airlines and destination. And very quickly I can look through here and see if any routes to the U.S. that I've forgotten about, that I'm unfamiliar with, or if it's a very unique airport, this tells me who flies there so I even know what program to go after and look. In my experience, this is about 98% accurate. Every now and again, a very small airport will not have been updated, but it's a good way to start. So Delta, New York JFK to Iceland. Believe it or not, if you want to go in economy, Delta International is a great way to go because there's always sky miles availability at a relatively cheap price. So I'm probably going to take a look at New York to Reykjavik. You said, but hey, I want to fly from Pittsburgh. Well, we can figure out how to get to Pittsburgh to New York pretty easily. I guarantee almost every single airline flies that route. So again, work your way backwards. See if anything else jumps out at me from Pittsburgh over to Iceland. United, seasonal, Newark. Yeah, let's see where American flies from. It's probably just going to say seasonal from Dallas. Yep, actually starts, whoa, look at that, in 3 days from Dallas over to Iceland. You know what? I'm just curious enough because that flight starts in 3 days that I'm going to go check out what our friends over at American are doing for availability from Dallas over to Iceland. Remember, work your way backwards. I'm not looking for Pittsburgh to Iceland. I'm looking one leg at a time, one segment at a time. And let's see what they got going on over there. Redeem miles, click the little button, one passenger. This starts on the 8th. I'm going to go a few days forward, so it'll give me a calendar of availability for that week above there. Who thinks that American has released space? If you're just joining us, first viewer suggested, I want to go from Pittsburgh to Iceland. Hey, let's check it out. Economy saver almost every single day. Of course, there's no business. If you're not familiar with this website, remember, click over to the next month of availability, see what's going on. We have one date so far with business availability. The little trick with American here is to click this nonstop only and see what options show up for us. Wow, even with nonstop, it looks like they're making availability open almost every single day on the seasonal Dallas to Iceland route. Yep, there it is. Sure enough, Dallas, Iceland, 8:20 p.m., land 9:15 a.m. They're servicing it with a 757. Boy, that's a little bit of a long way to fly on a single aisle airplane. But if I was you, whoever said, I think her name was Cheryl, from Pittsburgh over to Iceland, 30,000 miles is a great way. You know what? Let's get a little bit cheeky and see if they can throw on that Pittsburgh segment down to Dallas for nothing. We're going to start all the way over here. What I really like about the American website is you don't have to log in to look for this availability. One less step, as many clicks as I do every day, one less step is the way to go. So hopefully it's going to route us from Pittsburgh down to Dallas and Dallas up to Iceland for 30,000 miles. It may not do that because it's fighting itself geographically, but maybe we'll get a little bit lucky. And I forgot to click the use miles button. Like a rookie. Boom. Just like that. Hey, Rick, if you're watching this bourbon, really good, from Bremerton, Washington. Christina's got a great idea, which is checking Alaska on the same route, because Alaska, of course, partners with Iceland Air, and you can fly to Iceland, funny enough, on Iceland Air. Pittsburgh LaGuardia looks like it's eventually going to take you down to Dallas for that flight. I'd look at how much a nonstop flight from Pittsburgh to Dallas costs so that you don't have to make an extra stop in LaGuardia. Let's go one day over and see if they can give us... Yeah, it's eventually going to get you over there. But that's what I would do. So there's an example. The trusty work backwards method. Start at your destination airport. Look at who flies there. That told me right there. I had no idea in 3 days American started. Oh, look, here it is. Here's exactly what we want. So just like that, Pittsburgh to Dallas, Dallas to Iceland for 30,000 American miles. Relatively short layover. Just enough time to scoop in and enjoy that Centurion Lounge in Dallas-Fort Worth, and that's a really convenient, great itinerary to get up to Iceland for 30,000 American miles. So there you go, Cheryl, just like that. Wham-a-done, boom, $150. That's what I charge to book that for you. No, I'm just kidding. My days of award booking, single tickets are luckily in the past. Boy, that is a hard job right there. If you've ever done some professional award booking, it is no joke. All right, I'm going to scroll back through and see some more of these comments. I don't want you to stare at my screen the whole time. Hey, you're welcome, Cheryl. Michael says, you're going to check JFK to Iceland. No, we're going to move on from Iceland. We pretty much beat that dead horse. Let's see, Boston to Johannesburg, South Africa. That's a pretty great one. Hey, Dan says, doing ANA around the world, not possible online. Unfortunately, you need to call up. Hook that up with those folks over at ANA. So Boston to Johannesburg was the next suggestion. Now, like I just said, typically I go straight to the Wikipedia page of that airport, look at the airlines and destinations, and work your way back. Johannesburg is a little bit of a special circumstance. I have a pretty good idea of what the possibilities are just from experience, but still, if you're new to this, go to Johannesburg Airport Wikipedia page, look at all the airlines and destinations. Now, South African Airways, headquartered in Johannesburg, is a Star Alliance partner. And typically, availability on Star Alliance is fairly good for economy. So let's go take a look at what the good folks over at United have for us to go from Boston down to Johannesburg. My thoughts is it's probably going to take you from Boston to Dulles and then Dulles over because not too many, I don't think United flies from Boston to JFK where the Johannesburg flight picks up, but let's see what it looks like anyway. So actually I'm going to work backwards. I'm going to see, I know South African Airlines flies from JFK to Johannesburg every day on a A340, really old ride, but hey, relatively cheap nonstop. If you just want to get there, there's nothing wrong with economy, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, it's about the destination, not about the journey. Well, sometimes it's about the journey, but don't tell anybody I said that. Let's look at this award calendar. Yeah, see, look, pretty much every single day, 40,000 availability. Let's go ahead and see if we can knock it up to 30 days. Little option down there on the right underneath the weekly view to check out 30 days of availability, and then we'll click the old trusty. Look, if you want to go in economy, Boston or JFK to Johannesburg, not a problem. Let's see what they're doing with the nonstop. That might connect you through Europe, so see how many days actually have availability. So you got pretty slim pickings here for the nonstop on South African Airlines. I imagine if we go over into business, it's going to be a little bit less. What is this view options nonsense? Did they just start doing that? But anyways, there you go. So always looking for the path of least resistance. To me, that means pretty quick. But looking at all these 80,000 miles, which is saver economy and no fuel surcharges, my guess is it's probably going to route you Ethiopian through Addis Ababa, or it's going to be through Europe. It looks like most of this is Addis Ababa. Little details tab will drop down and show you these two flights. Mixed cabin here. This is the thing to watch with United. Boy, they can be a little bit cheeky with this. So your first flight there is on the Dreamliner, pretty long flight. 17 hours from Newark over to Addis Ababa, and then you got that last flight that's still 5.5 hours. It's in economy. Do they give you a break on the price? No, you're still going to fly 80,000 miles, so make sure you keep an eye on this mixed cabin deal. You can always go to the option above there. It looks like you're in business for both of these. So actually getting Johannesburg with United miles, this, people want to go to South Africa all the time. I head straight to United to see that Star Alliance availability. No fuel surcharges. 80,000 miles for business. I flew in October. I flew from New York to Zurich on Swiss Airways, and then Swiss Airlines from Zurich down to Johannesburg for 80,000 miles in business class, and it's really not a bad deal. So it's not a problem. I bet if you put Boston in here, it's going to connect you down to Newark, and then that way it's going to get you onto that Ethiopian flight through Addis Ababa. Now, if I was going to fly Ethiopian, it is Dreamliner. It's fine. It's going to get you there. It's going to be more comfortable than sitting in the back. If you're going to try and put me on Ethiopian economy, where we're going to have a little chat about that. So, yeah, looks like options are a little bit less when you're just trying to do from Boston, and that's mainly because that first domestic segment from Boston down to Newark probably has worse availability than these long-haul international segments. It's really quite amazing how tough award availability is for domestic flights. Remember to click that 30-day calendar so you give yourself a quick screenshot of all the possibilities around your intended travel date. There you go. You got a few options. Considerably less. This is when it routinely makes sense to just buy a cheap ticket from Boston to New York and then get yourself on that 80,000 point, because it will cancel out the saver availability in its entirety just because that first really short domestic segment is not available. All right, let's take a look at a few other examples. Sue says XNA, which is Northwest Arkansas to Bali. Whew, that would be a tough one. You want to do that? Nah, that's too long for now. All right, let's see what else we got here. Oh yeah, Andy brings up a great example. Let's go through a few resources, which I meant to say right at the top of the show. What are the things that I use to make these happen? What resources do you need to be aware of? So first one is Expert Flyer. Expert Flyer is not intuitive. It looks like MS-DOS threw up in the 1980s a website that hasn't been updated too much from a graphic standpoint, but it's very, very powerful. $4.99 a month subscription. It will tell you availability, seat charts. You can set seat alerts. You can look at how many fare buckets are still for sale. You can look at upgrade space. You can do all kinds of great things on Expert Flyer. I could do an entire hour-and-a-half class on just what to do for Expert Flyer, but this is something, if you're going to get serious about this, you need to be familiar with. Awardhacker.com, that is award, A-W-A-R-D, hacker, like a computer hacker.com. This is pretty much a 95% solution to throw in your origin and your destination and give you at least ideas of what is a program I need to collect miles for. You know what, I'm just going to go ahead and bring up Award Hacker because so many people ask about it all the time. Just remember, this isn't a 100% solution, right? So in that case, we just said from Boston to Johannesburg, Let's say we want to go in business. Let's say we want to go one way. We don't want to worry about off-peak. One stop is fine. And it's going to take a little bit to think because of all the different variety of programs that you could use to take this route. And here is what it says. So a couple things I really like about this. Number one, it gives you the program on the left-hand side. This is AG Miles. Ooh, what a great program that is not talked about too often. All right, it's going to tell you who actually flies the flight. This is where you need to understand just because I have Asiana Miles does not mean that I have to fly Asiana Airlines. I can fly Swiss, I can fly Turkish, Lufthansa, or South African. And then my favorite thing right here says, who does it transfer from? So how in the world do I get Asiana Miles? Well, it transfers from SPG right here. Okay, so going down 65,000 Japan Airlines miles, it's going to be flown by Air France, British Airways, or Iberia. This takes time to understand these codes of what airline it is. How do I get Japan Airlines miles? It transfers from SPG. So, all right, let's take a look at the next one. 75,000 Air Canada Aeroplan miles. How do I get these? They transfer from Amex Membership Rewards or Starwood Preferred Guests. This flight is also Star Alliance. It's going to be flown by Swiss Air, Turkish, Lufthansa, or South African. Okay. Award Hacker. Takes a little bit of time to get used to these abbreviations and to know how powerful some of these miles are. This is not a 100% solution, but if you're just starting, it is a great tool to utilize, and I highly recommend it. That will at least give you some, oh yeah, I forgot that you could book Air France flights with Japan Airlines miles because they're in different alliances, so a lot of people forget about that. So a great tool there at Award Hacker. What else? That was Expert Flyer Award Hacker. Award Nexus is a pay-to-play service where they're going to look at award space for you. Again, 90-95% solution, not going to get the job done in its entirety, but it is going to walk you through some great ideas. Wikipedia, I showed you. Route maps, you got to have the route map pages for airlines pulled up so you can use the information in Wikipedia and you can use these route maps you have saved. I'm talking OneWorld route map, SkyTeam route map, Star Alliance route map, so you know who flies where. And get familiar with these websites so that you can very quickly find the options you should even be looking for. And the example that our commenter just said from Northwest Arkansas to Bali, well, I mean, who flies what routes? There's a million different connection points, right? So you got to work your way backwards. You got to go to the Wikipedia page. You got to pull up the OneWorld route map, the Star Alliance route map, and see how you can piece these segments together so you know, okay, I should fly Cathay Pacific from Bali to Hong Kong, Cathay Pacific from Hong Kong to LA, and then I know American flies LA to Northwest Arkansas. Cathay Pacific and American are both OneWorld, so I can probably make a OneWorld itinerary that just has 2 stops from Northwest Arkansas over to Bali. Yeah, I was shocked too. American flies Northwest Arkansas to Los Angeles nonstop, but they sure enough do on an A319. Who knew, right? So those are the different tools. All right, I'm going to do one more walk through here. I'm looking at the comments. Let's see what we got. Some good ones. Dallas Fort Worth to Kuala Lumpur in business class. That is from Kelly. All right. Let's take a look. Dallas Fort Worth to Kuala Lumpur. So off the top of my head, Malaysia Airlines, OneWorld member, is headquartered in Kuala Lumpur. They fly to a lot of different places in Europe. They fly to obviously a lot of different places in Asia. So I can actually work my way from Dallas either way. So what I would do to make it as convenient as possible is I know I can fly from Kuala Lumpur to Tokyo. Remember, working my way backwards, and that's on Malaysia Airlines and also on Japan Airlines, and I can fly from Tokyo to Dallas on Japan Airlines or American Airlines. So one stop itinerary to get from Dallas to Kuala Lumpur. Let's see if we can make it happen. So where do I go to find this OneWorld availability? The secret weapon that nobody talks about too often, and that is the Qantas website. So I'm going to go over here to my other monitor, which I have my award wallet pulled up that stores all of these programs for me because I don't want anybody to steal any of my information. Salvador says there a way to know off-peak for routes. Every program sets their peak and off-peak dates. You have to go into that individual program. So here's a route. We're trying to get from Dallas to Kuala Lumpur. I want to do it in one stop via Tokyo. I'm pulling up the Qantas website, which is, in my opinion, the best website to look for OneWorld availability. I'm just going to pull the comments over here and keep up. So this is the Qantas website as soon as I do screen share. All right, so here it is. All we got to do is go to book flights, and we're going to make sure that this little classic award box is checked. So use points. Remember, one segment at a time. is the best way, in my opinion, to do it, and you want to work backwards. So this is going to be from Tokyo, Narita, to Kuala Lumpur. I'm going to pick a random date in September. Let's see if we can make it work and just find one flight. Just one passenger, one way, and let's see what can happen. Hope everybody's having a great week. Yeah, this is a little box that Qantas is going to give you. Remember, we're just looking for availability. If you're a little confused right now, I am just using Qantas, their website, to find availability. I am not going to ever book through Qantas. I'm never going to have Qantas points. I'm never going to call Qantas. Don't care about Qantas except that their website is superior to every other OneWorld site. And here you go. Look, the first day I searched, Japan Airlines has both economy and business, that's what this little ribbon means, available on their nonstop flight from Tokyo to Kuala Lumpur. So now I know by September 1st at 11:20 a.m., I need to have landed from Dallas into Tokyo on my flight to try and catch this nonstop, which really means I need to land super early in the morning to give myself enough cushion to fly from Dallas to Tokyo to make this connection. So now we know this flight exists in both economy and business. I need to look on August 30th from Dallas to Tokyo. So let's see if we can do that. So a quick modify search button. People say use British Airways, people say use American. No, just use Qantas if you're looking for OneWorld flights, right? Okay, so let's see what the world looks like to get from Tokyo over Dallas. Remember, one day earlier, so that we can land in time to catch that connection on 31st. That's right, there are 31 days in August, so I messed that up. A little warning box that says, yeah, I'm going to take you over to the U.S. Qantas site. And it looks like that's not exactly what we want. Okay, well, this can work. So from Dallas to Chicago, Chicago to Narita. That has space. That's not too bad. The problem is that we land a little bit too late to catch that flight down to Kuala Lumpur. So maybe we could do a day early and enjoy Tokyo for the night. Let's just take it back one day and see if we can get a little bit lucky. But I hope you see the general premise here. Segment by segment, one at a time, one flight, and then try and piece this thing together. If you just go into a website and type in Dallas to Kuala Lumpur, maybe you get lucky and it shows something to you. Maybe it doesn't. But really handy stuff. There we go. Boom. There. This is what I'm looking for. So here's the nonstop. And it could actually work out. So this is August 30th. We leave 10:45 a.m. We fly nonstop in economy on American. We land at 2:15 p.m. in Tokyo. You know the next morning, because this is plus 1 day you land. So you land on the 31st, and then on the 1st you got a nonstop flight down to Kuala Lumpur. So 2:15, that's enough time to take the train into Tokyo, have an amazing, delicious sushi dinner, go to the sushi go-round, walk around Akihabara, enjoy a temple, and then get yourself on the train back to Narita. Have a great night's sleep at the Hilton Narita Airport, my favorite place to stay if you're going to be flying in or out of Narita. And then you don't even have to wake up too early to catch that 11:20 a.m. flight down to Kuala Lumpur. So that's how I would do it right there. And then you can piece these together through a variety of different programs. You could do it through American. You could do it through Japan Airlines. You could do it through Asia, Cathay Pacific Asia Miles. But at least you know that the availability is there so that when you call any of those programs, you can tell them, hey, I want American Flight 175 on the 30th, landing at 2:15 p.m. The next morning, I want Japan Airlines Flight 273 going from Tokyo down to Kuala Lumpur, and you've got yourself an award ticket right there. So I hope that example was really useful. That was a really good one. Thanks, Kelly, for sending that in. The biggest point I hope you got out of that one is that you're using Qantas to search OneWorld availability. You're not using British Airways. Good grief, everybody knows that site's broken. You're not using Cathay Pacific, even though it's pretty good. You're not using American because it doesn't show all those partner airlines. You're using Qantas to look for OneWorld availability. Any last second questions, I'm happy to take it. We're already at 30 minutes. I hope that imparts a little bit of knowledge about how I would go through and look for these award seats. A little bit of my nerd and dorky knowledge going on right there. You're very welcome, Kelly, and great to meet you and your husband in Vegas last week. Remember, this weekend I'm in Manhattan. teaching at Frequent Traveler University. If you don't have a ticket, I believe they still have a few left. Use code last minute, you get $20 off your ticket. Besides that, I'm headed out to Denver on Thursday for an event with Frontier Airlines and Barclays for a couple days. And then next week, Emily, my wife, and I are going on our amazing anniversary trip, which I am very happy to share with all of you, and a place I'm very excited about checking out. Yep, that was the last one I'm going to take a look at for now. Sue says Northwest Arkansas to Bali. You can do the same thing I just did. It doesn't matter where. Work your way back, segment by segment, piece it together yourself. Don't rely on websites to do the work for you. Don't rely on airline agents to try and find the space. They don't even know who all their partners are. Trust me, the number of times I've called. With that, hey, great contest last night, window versus aisle. Hope everybody saw Clifton's winning answer about you have to get a window seat so that you can take your Instagram photo. Lewis says Denver open to the public. No, I don't believe it is, but I'll be around. Danielle says if you find availability on the Qantas site for a Qantas flight, but it doesn't show on AA or other sites, can you still book it? Yeah, you don't know. Sometimes they make more flights available to their own members. What you can do is search the Alaska site for a Qantas flight, and if you see it on the Alaska site, then you can book it with American Miles. Moji says, what's the best site to look for availability for SkyTeam? Well, that's a good question now with the Flying Blue changes. If you haven't read my article on the Point Sky from yesterday or the day before on the new Flying Blue program, Flying Blue is no longer worthwhile trying to search, so that leaves us with Delta for the SkyTeam availability, which is pretty hard to stomach, but at least they have a flexible date view, and you can try and do your best with that. So my answer is now Delta for searching SkyTeam space. With that, everybody, thanks so much for tuning in. I'm going to do a lot more of these. Remember, every week on Tuesday, we're going to have a topic, bourbon and Q&A Thursday night. 1 hour open topic question answer, and I'm around the group every day. Drop me a line, drop me a message. See you next time.